Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Cameron, the HR guy. Have you ever submitted an application and then never heard anything back? Don't know if they got your application, don't know if you got screened out, don't know what happened. Oftentimes people make mistakes when they're doing their application and the organization or company doesn't notify them when they're screened out. In today's video, we're going to talk about the 7 most common mistakes that people make when they're filling out their application. And stay to the end because the last one I'm going to share is kind of a shocker. You'd be surprised people make this mistake so often. All right, so if you like this video and it's helpful, please do the YouTube stuff. Hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so most of the mistakes people make when they're filling out an application are something they could easily fix if they just took the time to go through their application and double check it or have someone else look at it before they submit it. So we're going to start with mistake number 1, which is an incomplete application. So again, if you just go through and look, make sure you fill out every field, make sure you're not missing any dates, especially on work history. When did you start in that job and when did you leave that job? Reasons why you left or why you moved on to another position. Make sure everything's filled out, especially if you're submitting this application to an application tracking system that company uses, because anything that's left out or not completed appropriately is going to kick that application right out of the system, and then you've got no shot. Mistake number 2 is attachments. So oftentimes you're going to have to attach something to your application. It might be a driver's license, or it might be a certification, it might be transcripts, or something of that nature. So make sure you know what's required. Make sure you attach them and then double check to make sure they actually got attached appropriately. Because you may think it got attached or it's the right attachment and it's not, and then by the time you submitted your application, it might be too late to fix that. Mistake number 3 is letters of recommendation. So make sure you know how many you need to attach, what time frame they need to be written within, 1 year or 2 years, and also make sure you include one from your current supervisor. Because if I'm looking through an application, that's the first thing I'm going to check. Do they have a letter of recommendation from their current supervisor? If not, that's going to raise some red flags for me. And also, don't attach more than needed. If it's 3, don't attach 5 or 6. Also, don't attach any that are more than 2 years old. Typically, that's going to be outside the time frame that they're requesting, and it's going to look like you're just trying to grab some from way back in your past, and it's not going to really impress them that you have extra ones well outside the date that they're looking for. Mistake number 4, gaps in work history. Make sure you take the time to explain why there's a gap. Maybe you had to take care of a sick family member. Maybe you stayed home to take care of kids. Maybe you got laid off and it took a little while to get another job. But make sure those are explained, because if I see gaps in work history that have no explanation, it's going to raise red flags. If I see something like 5-10 years, I think something really fishy going on. Maybe that person went to prison, or maybe, I don't know, something happened that they just really don't want to tell us about. The more honest you are with why you have those gaps, the more likely someone's going to be like, well, take a chance on this person because they've got some other things that we really are interested in. So make sure you do that. Okay, mistake number 5 is not explaining why you left your last position. I'm going to be looking for reasons that make sense. So maybe you got laid off. Maybe you got a promotion. Maybe you stayed home with a sick family member or stayed home to take care of the kids. But if you put things in there that don't make sense, like to move up in my career and the position you took next was actually a downgrade from what you were in, or move closer to home when actually you didn't get any closer and the job you're applying for now is actually further from your home. So make sure that you're being honest and that it makes sense, because if it doesn't make sense, it's going to raise red flags, and we're going to assume that this person is not being honest with what they're putting down. Even if it's not something that you're proud of, maybe you got laid off or terminated even, that happens, but at least we know you're honest about it. And a lot of times people will take a chance on a person if they've got other skills they're looking for, even if they maybe had a little issue in their past with their employment. Mistake number 6 is if you had a misdemeanor or a felony. Now, these will not automatically knock you out of contention for a job, especially if these were something that happened 10, 15, 20 years ago and you were young and you made a dumb mistake. But you need to make sure that you list that on there and give a brief explanation of what happened. A lot of people think that they're so old that they're not going to come up, or they paid somebody to expunge them from their record, or somebody said they were sealed. That's not true. They're going to come up when you do a background check. I've had it happen over and over, and people never thought that it would come back up. So explain the situation and be honest, because if you're not honest and you don't put it on there and it comes up later, people are going to think you were trying to hide something or you were dishonest, and it's going to get you kicked out right away. So make sure you include any of those situations on your application. A lot of applications will ask that question if you've had a misdemeanor or a felony, and then if you fail to report that, then it's automatic that your application is going to get rejected. This is the last one, number 7. I'm still surprised people make this mistake. It's applying for a job that you don't qualify for. Now, oftentimes when you're looking at a job posting, it's going to say, here's the minimum qualifications. Now, some have no experience needed, just maybe a driver's license and a high school diploma. But others are going to require certain things, maybe certain degrees, maybe certain level of experience, maybe certifications. And if you apply for a job, you don't have those things, you're not meeting the minimum qualifications. This is not like horseshoes and hand grenades where close is good enough. No, if it says you need 4 years experience in this field and you have 3.5, you don't meet the minimum requirement. Or if it says you need this many units or an associate degree or some other kind of degree and you don't have it, you're not getting in. So it's important that you understand what the minimum requirements are and make sure you actually meet those. If you're applying for a job that you don't meet the minimum requirements, you're not going to have any shot, okay? If you're like, well, I'm going to apply for a chef because I like the Food Channel and I watch every episode of Chop and I really like food, but I have none of the other requirements. I didn't go to culinary school or haven't worked actually in a position where I'm cooking, then you're not going to get that job. You're not even going to get screened in for that job. So make sure that when you do this, you take the time to understand, do I actually meet those minimum qualifications before you apply? Now, I know some people are going to say, hey, I got a job and I didn't meet the minimum qualifications, or I didn't have certain things they were asking for. Yes, that does happen sometimes, but not as often as people think. People think, well, close enough, or I really like it, or I think I could do it. And there's probably people that could do that job very well that don't actually meet the requirements yet. But if the process requires those, you're going to get screened out and never get a chance. So make sure you're not wasting your time or the employer's time by applying for something you actually don't really meet the qualifications for. Well, there you have it. I hope that was helpful. I hope that the next time you're applying for a job, and you're filling out that application, you're really taking the time to make sure everything's filled out. You're having somebody double check it, making sure your attachments are done properly. Make sure you actually meet the minimum qualifications. My goal here is to provide strategies for employment success. So I'm hoping this is helping you guys out. And again, if you like this video, hit the like button and the subscribe button and the notification bell, and we'll see you in the next video.